Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for July 31st, 2019. All right. The big thing to look at here is that we did have the FOMC rate decision, which they said they will be cutting rates, but don't expect that to be kind of a trend ongoing here. And so we got this big drop here, suggesting that the rate cut was already priced in. Okay, so that's what we got. Coming into today, we were saying that if we take out this double bottom here, right underneath 192.99, we'll no longer be bullish, and we'll have to wait to see if the next entry will get follow through, right? And so that's where we are now. Okay, so we're getting this a little bit of a retracement here already. As far as getting kind of another entry to see if we get a leg down. Okay, so I think you can go into tomorrow with a aggressive bearish bias. I think we are better off being a little bit more neutral, because if we get an hourly sell setup and then fail on it, we'll actually be back to looking higher, because the daily is still in an uptrend, and especially the monthly. Okay, monthly still looks higher, but it was a pretty significant bar that we got today. So that's enough to make us shed our bullish bias, right? As we outlined coming into today, if we break below these equal lows, okay? And so going into tomorrow, I'm going to be more neutral. You could be a little bit more bearish leaning, but I'm going to stick with a neutral bias going into tomorrow as far as the short term. Okay. This drop is a pretty big drop in the context of this uptrend. So this shakeout here, or could turn out to be a shakeout, the way that we'll know if this is a shakeout is that we'll get an hourly sell setup and then we'll fail on it. Okay, we've seen that happen before. So here's what it would look like. Okay, is that we get the sell off, we do the sell setup here. So in this case, right, if we were going to go lower, we should have done so here. What did we do instead? We rallied back up. So we got the drop, we got the retracement, and then we tried to go lower, and then we rallied instead. So what would it look like, right? We got the drop, we get another attempt to move lower, and then that fails, we end up going higher and we recover. That would be very, very bullish. Okay, I don't think that scenario is completely impossible. I think that's something that we have to keep in mind. So we have been bullish, we got this shakeout here, okay, so, or we got this big drop. It's yet to be seen whether it's a shakeout. I'm more inclined to think it's a shakeout for the time being until we get the follow through. If we had been having this grind up and then say we got this move to the upside, I think that would be more convincing as a top. But because we've been moving up and then we got this move to the downside, it seems more likely that we need to wait for proof that we're going to move lower before we switch to a bearish bias. Okay, so there it is on the Qs. There it is on the SPY. You know, we went over the potential for the market to kind of break our bullish bias. And I kind of gave it in the context of Apple gapping down or Apple doing something. Apple ended up gapping up instead. And it ended up being the FOMC doing the kind of damage to the Qs and SPY, breaking the uptrend, putting us back into kind of a range. So kind of interesting. It didn't really change like what the plan was or how we prepare the plan, right? Ended up though that the FOMC wanted to move the market a lot more than than Apple did, the Apple earnings. Okay. All right, so we'll be waiting to see tomorrow. We may get something like an inside day. I think that would be a pretty easy safe call, but who knows? Anything could happen, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of inside day inside of today's range. We rest, and then that'll kind of set us up for seeing if that follow through comes or not. Okay, so neutral going into tomorrow. Long term still remains bullish. Short term remains neutral. We'll see if this bar ends up getting follow through. Okay. All right. So on to the topic that I wanted to talk about today, and that is management and preparing for breakout failures. If you play a lot of breakouts, then you know that what a breakout failure looks like. But here is how I've accounted for it, okay, in my management. Okay, this is my management. These are the 3 decision points that I am allowed to do something on the play once I am in. Okay, these are the places where I can take my targets, right? I can trail it, I can manage it, right? Based on these 3 decision points. First, when I get in, if there's a wide range entry bar, then I don't do anything until it gets to target 1. And then I don't do anything until it gets to target 2. Okay, that's it. Very, very simple, right? There's no incorporating the MAs or, I don't know how other people manage or, use like nickel trail or anything like that. Okay, this is it. All right. So the example I wanted to go over today is why is that first rule in there? Why is this the very first thing that I'm going to be cautious of when I take a play? Okay, it's here. So if I get in, and the way that I get in is a wide range entry bar and with a volume spike. That's what that volume plus means. That volume kicks up. Okay, what can I do? I can either trail half to 50% of the bar if it's a really nice bar. Okay, or I can go all to the next inside bar, the next doji bar. Okay, so let's say, right, why the first one? Why would I want to protect 50% really quick? Well, what if you get in something and it does this? Okay, big spike up like that, right? You protect, right, at least half of that because that's a really nice pop in your favor. Then you trail the rest. If you want to trail the rest to this inside bar, this is the inside bar, right? You can do that, right? Until you get to the next target. Or if you want to wait even longer, it ends up trailing you out here if you don't take it on the next new high, okay? Either way, right, we're making sure that this doesn't turn into a breakout failure and protecting profits when it's a really nice play. Okay, so again, right, on this wide range entry bar, right, I can trail half to the midpoint or I can trail the whole thing to the inside bar. So in this case, right, I didn't play this, but these are the kind of scenarios that, yeah, you would want to protect half, right, and then make sure you don't miss out on it. Now, what if this happens? Okay, and we played the A10, right, and managed just according to the plan, okay? So we got a breakout, okay? We got a breakout here. Now, what do we have? A wide range bar and an increase in volume. We do, right? This bar a lot bigger than the last 6 or 7, and volume, big volume spike. So what should I do? Okay, well, what if I want to trail half to the entry bar? This is not enough really to give me nice profit, so I'm gonna wait for the inside bar. Now I got the inside bar, okay? So now I'm gonna trail to 819 underneath that bar. I mean, that's essentially the breakout point. We're losing very little, if at all, on this, right? If this is gonna trail. You see that? Okay, so this satisfies both conditions, and that's the only way that I'm gonna basically call up this kind of management, okay, to protect against this. So what happened? Okay, we trail, and right, we avoid this complete breakout failure, okay? So what they should look like, right, like as you saw, was that other HAIN, or today, very, very pretty, TGI, okay? Let's say you called up the same thing because you saw we got a breakout, volume's picking up. This volume pickup is not that big, right? But say you're still significant enough for you to be concerned about a breakout failure, right? And you go to this inside bar, okay? Okay, no problem. There you go. You're out of the woods. you don't have to worry about a breakout failure. Okay, so that is something that I really want to protect against, because we don't need to be taking, right, full losses on these. Now, sometimes, of course, they will take out the inside bar and they might recover and go back up, right? You can always replay. For me, that is the trade-off that I am willing to accept. That sometimes I may get shaken out of these and have to replay or miss out on it if they don't give me another entry or something like that. But I've seen this happen enough that I recognize it and want to make sure that we don't have to lose on it if we don't have to. Okay? All right, so there you go. I don't mind sharing my management. I used to have a really complicated one that was like, I think, a dozen different decision points, right? And what ended up happening is just resulted in a lot of stress on my part, because every decision point, right, means that you have to make a judgment call, and that opens a lot of opportunities for you to be wrong. If you have a simpler management, right, you can see what works, what doesn't, and then kind of make adjustments as needed. And of course, the motivation behind having all these management points is I wanted to get them squeeze the most out of every single play, but there isn't going to be a management that is perfect for every single play. So we just want to be consistent, and then that way we'll have accurate data, and then we can make adjustments to our management to capture more if needed. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to go over this breakout. We saw a lot of breakouts today, some really nice ones too, and I expect that we'll continue to see them as well. I always like it when you get a pullback and then a breakout. So in the case of this QUAD, right, did a pullback first, and then you get a nice base, and then it breaks out. Nice how the volume didn't pick up here, but once the volume started to pick up, that means, that a lot of the buying is kind of exhausting then, and it needs to rest, right? So yeah, like on this QUAD, nice breakout, nice follow through, right? We don't have to worry about the wide range entry bar, the inside bar, and that's ideally what you want to see out of these breakouts. It's when you get something like this, you get a big spike up, right? Big spike up, volume comes in, right? You want to be cautious that it may be running out of buyers, using them all up on this same breakout, okay? All right, so that's going to do it for today's session. Hopefully you're hanging in there. I know there's a lot of stuff to look at, a lot of plays coming up, and so it's probably pretty busy. Just make sure that you make whatever adjustments that you need to make and are ready to go for tomorrow, okay? So lots more to do this week, lots more trading to happen, so hopefully you're excited. All right, so I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll see what the market brings us, and have a good trading day.